What's going on, party people? Cheesecake the Sound Boy here. Gonna get into this delicious anxiety war video. Let's dig in. I'm just gonna go straight the fuck into it.
You get the fuck out. Get the hell away. Get the hell away. Get the hell away. Get out of here. What are you doing? Get out of here. Go.
On the night of May 30th, 2020, in Grand Rapids, Michigan, I was severely beaten by a large group of assailants.
So the first issue that I have with this video so far is that I feel like we're not getting enough context from Zacc. We don't know what he was doing to get him in front of this particular building and in front of this particular group of people. It just seems kind of suspicious that all of a sudden this group would just start hurling insults at him and attacking him. So, since Zacc doesn't want to provide context, I will. In Grand Rapids that night, there is a BLM protest, and Zacc is in front of the Grand Rapids Secretary of State building, I guess trying to defend government property or something. There had to have been something to make them pay attention to him. But, of course, we don't get that context. So,
receiving multiple strikes in the head and face, the ear, the cheekbone, the jaw, and the temple.
I was severely beaten.
The next issue that I want to bring up is Zacc's claim that he was severely beaten. You see, Zacc released a video within a week of this altercation taking place with no visible damage on his face. So I don't know if he just has like Wolverine powers or something, but kind of seems a little quick to recover from your face getting almost beaten in. Now granted, Zacc doesn't really list any specific injuries. He just says that he
suffered an injury.
Make with that what you will. You would just think that if it was, this severe of a beating, that he would have some sort of picture of his damage or some sort of documentation regarding seeking treatment. So it kind of just seems like severely beaten is just kind of doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
I was outnumbered on a massive scale, and some of the hits connected very well. Again, most of the hits being to the head and face, and I was completely surrounded.
So here, Zacc claims to have been completely surrounded, to have had no room to escape. But if we look at the footage, after the initial hit, he turns to his right, that guy's telling him to go, that guy's just looking at him, and he starts to run off. Now, granted, this guy comes up and, tries to bear hug him, but looks like he's not really surrounded here, like he has some room to maneuver. And if you notice that actually at the end of this clip, somebody's holding that man back. So to say that he was surrounded, it's just not shown in the footage that he's giving us. I don't really know what surrounded means to him, but I would think surrounded would mean completely surrounded by a bunch of people.
As soon as I would dodge one hit, I would get hit somewhere else from who knows where. They were coming from everywhere all around me at the same time. And not to mention all the bottles being thrown in the air. There was a lot going on. To say I was outnumbered is... I was, let's just say very outnumbered. Overwhelmed while being beaten, I felt as though any new hit would be the end of me. What my attackers didn't know at the time they were smashing my face in is I am licensed by the state of Michigan to conceal carry a firearm. In fear for my life or great bodily harm, during the beating, I finally took out my pistol and used it in self-defense.
Seems a little convenient that we only have the audio of the pistol being fired. Just saying.
Ultimately escaping that attack and further injury or death. Victims can and do die by even single punches to the head. This has happened recently in my city. The perpetrator still not caught in this case as well.
Very interesting that Zacc brings up this particular example. You see, this guy got killed from one punch because he called somebody a racial slur. Did he deserve to die like that? No. And I have no problem condemning that, and that guy should be caught as well. But it just doesn't really seem like it's the same thing, man. Just saying, if you're going to go out and try to defend public property, maybe you should be a little bit better protected. If you're so worried about getting killed in one punch that you have to fucking pull a gun on people.
With multiple people attacking me at the same time and targeting my head and face, getting hit several times in the head and face, this attack could have been very well fatal for me. Besides the fact that I was concealed carrying while getting beaten, what my attackers also didn't realize at the time was the glasses that I was wearing were recording their faces. These glasses, however, were destroyed in the beating from the multiple strikes to my head and face, but I was able to recover the remains of them off the ground while still being attacked.
Just seems a little convenient, I guess, in my opinion, that he doesn't have the rest of the footage because his glasses were destroyed. But how are we able to get the sound of the gunshot? don't you think that maybe you would have a little bit in between then, like the start of the fight and the gunshot? Because it seems like there's more to the footage than what you're showing us, so why don't you show the rest of the footage, Zacc? Maybe you could explain why you were there in the first place. Or would the full context not look super great? Who's to say? All I can say is, I think Anxiety War is heckin' sus with this one, boys.
Media, I'm not going to talk about this case right now. I just want my attackers to be identified.
Let me spell that out for the audience. I only want you to see my curated slice of context. I don't want you to see the rest of it, and I'm not going to speak any more about it because it's too controversial. Just seems a little cowardly, Zacc, to not, show the full context. It seems like you have something to hide. It seems that instead of the Kyle Rittenhouse effect, like Zacc intended, he ended up pulling a Tim Pool instead. Just a couple of little things that I want to bring up before I close out this video. Number one is that in any media reports of this particular riot, there were no reports of shots being fired, of people being seriously injured. There was even photos of that scene of the building where Zacc was during the attack, and we have no signs of a major altercation taking place. There's no blood anywhere. It just kind of seems like if this was this vicious attack that Zacc makes it out to be, that we would have a little bit more coverage of the event. There are even a couple of news sources that reported no serious injuries that night. So it couldn't have been that serious if there's no fucking coverage of it. Do you really think that this random guy getting jumped by a mob and then having to discharge his pistol to defend himself wouldn't be covered by local news? There are also multiple local news teams that have covered this event that walked all around during the actual times that they were happening. Not one of them mentioned anything about shots being fired, anything about somebody being seriously hurt, anything about like somebody getting jumped. Nobody was even charged with assault. So I don't know where Zacc is thinking that like we're not gonna look into this. He wants us to do this internet detective work based on his stuff, but as soon as we start going to other bits of footage from that night, nothing else corroborates his story. I don't know what the fuck Zacc is thinking. It's just sad that he has to like grift this hard. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a fucking cheesecake, right? Keep spreading the good word, guys. Remember, Anxiety War is definitely a right-wing nut job. So,